Well, hello there. How are you doing today? Hope everything is fine and dandy in your little part of the realm. And it is once again time to have a look around that strange realm that we find ourselves in. And of course, don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you hear in the videos. It's all for entertainment purposes, right? It's all about making your own mind up, coming to your own conclusion and creating your own perspective, being autodidactic. So with that said, let's dive in.
So let me get this straight. You believe in dinosaurs, but you don't believe in dragons? Did you know in the 1936 Webster's Dictionary, the word dragon was listed as a real creature, a huge serpent, just now rare. Not imaginary, not make-believe, rare. Now take a look at this picture.
All right, so here we go. Dragons, are they real? Let me know your answer in the comments. And of course, you mentioned the dinosaurs. And I mean, I'll just say this, just picture T-Rex, instead of having those silly little arms, having wings. That's pretty much we're told, what a dragon looks like, right? And not to mention that they've worked out with physics that T-Rex can't run. It's too top heavy. It would fall on its head. And Brontosaurus can't even have sex. It would crush, its partner. So, this whole dinosaur thing, when you start to look into it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And yeah, where are all the pictures and the stories from the ancients, but they're all full of, dragons, aren't they? But not dinosaurs. So it's got to ask the question, right? What are the bones? Because they would have found bones back then. Obviously, over time, bones would have been dug up. So they weren't thinking they were dinosaurs, were they? They were thinking they were dragons.
What you're about to see is not just a mountain. Look closely. Do you see it? That shape, that curve. It looks like a fossil, but not of anything we know. It looks like a dragon, something ancient, something enormous, turned to stone. At first I thought it was just a coincidence, a trick of light, a natural formation. But then I opened Google Earth. I zoomed into Taiwan, north, near Taipei, far away from the noise of the city, into the deep forests, the hills, the cliffs, untouched land. Then I dropped into Street View. Everything felt normal, too normal, until I saw it again. The same shape, the same massive structure, like a spine carved into the mountain, a head frozen in place, as if something once lived there and never left. No signs, no warnings, no information anywhere, like it's been completely ignored or hidden. So tell me, is this just a mountain? Or are we looking at something that was never meant to be discovered?
King Dragon is moving, you guys. The nose used to be over there, and you can see with the head here once sat right up in there. And I just showed you all that it's having earthquakes in this area, and now this head is starting to face in a more downward direction. Now, let's talk about it. You guys remember that dragon that we found at the bottom of South America and Antarctica? You know, the one that I told you I believe is waking up? The head has moved. It has now turned and is starting to face a more southward direction. Look at this shit. Here's an update about Levi the Dragon that we found. If you look here, you guys, you can see that the head has moved. This head used to be a lot more straight. If you look at the nose here, this is where the nose used to sit. It is sliding, people. It's moving. Look at the head. Right here, look. That is the spot where it used to sit. That head here used to be straight. It is turning, people. Do you see that?
Well, did you see it? I found it a bit hard to make out the dragon there, but this is something that's been going around for the last probably couple of years, right? Is this like Titanic dragons, like these dragons that are basically the size, of countries and bigger, of almost continents. That one was bottom of South America. What do you think about that? Let me know. To my thinking, I mean, that's extremely large, right? What would happen when that thing stood up? It would destroy the realm pretty much, right? It would cause, everything, right? Tsunamis, earthquakes, the whole lot. And imagine when it took off to fly. Like the tornadoes and hurricanes, it would be crazy. I just think they're too big to be in this realm. They could possibly be fossils from a past time when everything was gigantic and the realm was larger. But as far as them waking up today, I mean, that would definitely cause a cataclysm.
Shows a dragon bathing in a lake in Vietnam. Now, I bet you didn't know dragons exist, but this video right here definitely looks convincing to me and very scary too.
A creator by the name of Mark Lee found a dragon. Yes, a petrified, fossified dragon. The crazy thing about it, when he started posting footage and telling us about it, he disappeared. Radio silence. He hasn't posted here on his TikTok, his YouTube, nothing. Go look his page up if you don't believe me. Let me show you some of the footage he had.
Look here, y'all. It's a dragon. There's his head. I'm working on something here. On his nose. This piece right here. Right here. See that? Hard time getting around that. There's his wings. There's his wing right there, and then this is a wing appendage. It's cracked right here. It's got 3 feathers. See that? His claws on the other side, but here's his head, man. Up close. See that? That red skin. Here's the underside of his mouth. Just like it should look. Here's the back of his head, just like Godzilla would look. There's his claw. That claw right there. See it? Big ass tree is growing on top of him. I already cut it.
So what y'all think, chat? Dragon or just dirt and rock? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow.
What do you think? Do you think that is a fossilized dragon or just pareidolia? Uh, I mean, I definitely, believe things get fossilized. We have proof of this, right? There's a cowboy boot with a leg in it that they found early 1900s, and they actually went back and they found the maker of the boot. It had been totally turned to stone, and they worked out it was like 50 years old. There's also a hat they found down a mine in Tasmania. Same story, 50-ish years old, and it had turned to stone. And then there is Mother Shipton's cave in the UK, where people literally go and hang things, right? And especially like teddy bears and stuffed toys, and they turn to stone within 3 to 6 months. And the reason is because it's the minerals in the water. Okay, it's highly mineralized water can turn things to stone. So if there was a flood of highly mineralized water and it covered a dragon, then yes, it could definitely turn it to stone. Like it could. We've got proof of this kind of stuff. So is that what happened? Obviously there's a discussion about what are the mountains, are they what they tell us, geological formations over millions and billions of years? Are they giant tree stumps or are they titans, the remains of massive titanic beings that got turned to stone? I think a lot of the titan stuff is pareidolia. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. But it's the size that gets me, right? That we would have to have such a much bigger realm for creatures that size to be able to exist here. So, we all know we've been shrunk and we don't live as long. So maybe the realm was bigger. But let me know your thoughts. Like, what do you think? Do you think that, that dragons can turn to stone? And do you think some of the mountains and these massive, massive, titans and dragons are actually the fossilized remains of living beings? Or do you think it's all just, people's perception and what they want to say?
This is my conspiracy thoughts on dragons. First of all, before the internet, how in the world did every country have hieroglyphics of dragons?
Yeah.
That's impossible. How did they all know about dragons?
Sure.
That's one. Two, fallen angels. We already know that there's giants.
Yes.
But they also, these demons were on demon time, bro. They weren't just looking at the women being like, dang, she's hot.
No.
They were looking at the animals and being like, I'm gonna have sex with these animals. Right? They say that dinosaurs got wiped out by a flood because of an ice thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think they knew that they were going to be able to, in the future, find out that these animals drowned. I think they fell underwater because of Noah's Ark.
Sure.
Because God says, I will choose the animals of my kind.
Sure.
So I think that humans and animals got wild with God. And so he wiped out the animals that are not from him and the humans that are not from him. So my theory is that the dinosaurs didn't fall into water. I think dragons fell into water. And they also say that dinosaurs have the same DNA as reptiles. Come on, dog. Demons are reptile.
Yeah.
Am I like a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over here? Or is this starting to add up a little bit?
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Right?
Biblically speaking, though, we got to go to the Bible. There is dragons in the Bible, but all of it actually talks about Satan. He calls him Abaddon, the dragon. So it's actually talking about him.
Well, yes, a bit biblical, but dragons are mentioned in the Bible over 60 times. And I've always wondered what this word serpent means. Like serpent, right? That they use it interchangeably with snake, but is that what they were really talking about? Because when we get descriptions of dragons, they're called winged serpents. I don't know. Interesting, right? The flood. I don't know where he got I think he got mixed up with the end of the Ice Age. And as far as I know, the mainstream narrative for dinosaurs, going extinct was a comet, right, or a meteor that hit off the coast of South America, and all these cataclysms happened and they wiped them out. But yeah, again, we get so many references to these flying serpents, dragons, that there's got to be something to it, right? And like that guy said at the end, Satan is even called a dragon and that old serpent and things like this. And of course, what is hell? It's full of fire. What do dragons breathe?
They're still there. You can go see them. A friend of mine was there as a soldier. He said, yep, they're still here. Dragons still on the wall from 2,600 years ago. Ishtar Gate is covered in them. Lions and dragons. Now, we made a model of it for Dinosaur Adventureland. If you want to come to Pensacola, that's a little closer than Iraq for most of you. But Alexander the Great said his soldiers were scared by dragons when they conquered part of India in 300 BC. Dragons when they conquered part of India in 300 BC. This Roman mosaic shows two long-necked dragons fighting. Or kissing. Now that would be necking. Wow. Anyway, how did the Romans know about dragons in 200 AD? St. George is famous for slaying a dragon in 275 AD. Beowulf slew 2 dragons and the third one killed him. You should try to read the Beowulf story in Old English. Good luck. That's English. 1,500 years ago, that was English. I can only read one word on the page. It says, duh. But anyway, when they translate the story to modern English, the story tells us Beowulf killed Grendel the dragon by pulling off one of its arms, and the creature bled to death. Pulled off his arm? Well, they found a Babylonian cylinder seal showing a guy pulling the arm off a dragon. Interesting. Get the book After the Flood if you want a whole lot more on dragons living with man. But there's a city in France that's famous because a dragon came up out of the water, and a guy killed it and cut the head off and stuck it over the corner of the building. The head of the dragon was mounted on his building. They called it the gargoyle. How many have ever heard of the gargoyle? They still do that today. You can buy these ugly little critters, you put them on your building or whatever over your door. Well, the word gargoyle means throat. We get our word gargle, gurgle, regurgitate, gorge, and glutton from that word. It has to do with the throat. So next time you gargle, you can think about slaying a dragon. You say, Brother Hovind, I am slaying a dragon when I gargle. Okay, anyway. An Irish writer said they killed a dragon with iron nails on its tail. Well, Stegosaurus certainly had big spikes on his tail, that's for sure. So did several other animals, but here's a Viking woodcut showing a dragon swallowing a guy. This is from the 11th century, 1,000 years ago, okay? The Vikings put dragon heads on their ships 1,000 years ago. Why would they do that? Well, they knew about the great dragon of the sea. They called it the Kraken. Again, Bill Cooper's got a lot on that in his book, but the famous Icelandic hero Siegfried slew the dragon Fafnir. There's a castle, bricks were found in a castle from the 12th century showing dragons. There's a 12th century castle in Germany with dragons on it. Why would they put dragons on their castles? Marco Polo lived in China for 17 years. When he came back, he said the emperor is raising dragons to pull chariots in his parades. Why would he say that? Oh, probably because the emperor was raising dragons to pull chariots in his parades. That's my theory. Yeah, okay. In 1611, they appointed the post of royal dragon feeder. Why do you need a royal dragon feeder? Let me guess, to feed the dragon. Yeah, right, okay. There's a 13th century castle with dragons on it. There's a grave from the 15th century showing, and carved in brass, 2 long-necked dinosaurs. 16th century castle has dragons on it. We've got 7 coins in our museum on loan. They're silver dollars from 1500s to 1600s. Real silver dollars. All of them show somebody slaying a dragon. It was common 400 years ago. Everybody knew about slaying dragons. Of course you got to slay the dragon. You know, that's just standard procedure. Save the dragon, rescue the princess, or whatever. I don't know. But here's a Russian medallion showing a guy killing a dragon. Bulgarian postage stamp has somebody killing a dragon. The crest of Lithuania shows somebody killing a dragon. A city in France was renamed Nurluk to honor the man who slew the dragon. Indians carved dinosaurs on the walls of the Grand Canyon. Why would they put dinosaurs on the walls of Grand Canyon?
Well, there you go. A bit more evidence of dragons. And it's, you know, he asked a very valid question. Why would they do all this if they're just making them up? And why would all of these different countries and cultures and societies all come up with the same thing? Right? It's crazy. And then, of course, we see dragons all the time associated with, you know, royals, right? And all these crests and things. Dragons everywhere. But I guess the question is, you know, why was everyone out there killing them? Like, is it because they were such a threat and they were like, you know, the Lord of the Rings dragon, Smaug, coming in and destroying and burning everything? So they had, it was a defense thing to kill them, or was there something else going on? Because they seem to exist for a long time, in the pre-reset world, but, I haven't seen any evidence of them myself. Recently, there was a few videos of supposed footage, but, nothing too believable for me. When I was, looking for these videos, there's so much AI out there that, like, there's so much AI with dragons and that. So I got stuff that looked the least AI, I guess, but still we haven't got any clear images of a dragon. But of course, there are real dragons still in the realm.
There's only one way to show you this unique display. That's to actually get one in hand. I mean, this is like straight out of science fiction. It's ridiculous. It's like this lizard goes from being super slim to really big, and that's intimidating. If you are a predator and like you don't know that this lizard does that, you're gonna catch it, it's gonna hood up, frill out, and you're probably gonna leave it alone. Not only do they hood up, but they gape with their mouths open, and then when they hit the ground, they go bipedal. They actually run on 2 feet. And when I was chasing this one, it got up on its 2 feet, climbed the tree, nearest point of safety, and I barely got him. Barely got him.
This animal can kill you without even trying. The Komodo dragon is not a myth. It's real, massive, and deadly. It can grow up to 3 meters long and run faster than a human. Its saliva is filled with bacteria and venom that causes instant shock. Even a small bite can make you collapse in minutes. They hunt deer, pigs, and sometimes each other. Scientists call them modern dinosaurs for a reason. Would you dare face one in the wild?
There you go, some real dragons. So the Komodo dragon there obviously doesn't have wings, but I wonder why they call it a dragon. But they're on, the island of Komodo, which is in Southeast Asia. The one before that, the flying lizard, as they call it. As far as I know, that's real. I've seen it before. I have looked into it. And again, that comes from Southeast Asia. I think it's around Malaysia, somewhere like that. And the first one was a frilled neck lizard, not exactly a dragon, but I put that in there just to show the frill and that it's possible for reptiles to grow things that basically like wings, right? That same kind of skin and material they would need to build wings. And the frilled neck lizard, of course, from Australia. So they're all in, the sort of South Pacific, right? That region. And I believe it was Marco Polo in one of his books that when he's describing dragons, not the ones from China that we heard, but he's describing other dragons. And he says that they're down in Southeast Asia in Java Major. Which is interesting. And then the other country that comes up a lot for dragons is India. So, there's a lot of references. We seem to have maybe leftovers or at least similar creatures to dragons. So, again, what do you reckon now? Real or not?
What's that? Was a dragon dug up in Romania and the skull and bones are there? Yes, it was. Did you see that video? Yeah, there's a guy in the hole with the dragon in there. And why have we not been able to believe in dragons before? Why is it mythological? Because if we're talking mythological, why aren't dinosaurs mythological? Riddle me that. We're going to say dragons are mythological, but we're not going to say pterodactyls are mythological, huh? Okay. Because, of course, in China, they have dragon as being a mythological creature, but it's alongside other creatures that aren't mythological. Why would that be? Is it maybe because it would be more terrifying to know that dragons were real than not? Even that over dinosaurs? I mean, probably. Okay, then.
The fact that this was discovered hiding under a painting during a renovation of a cathedral in Naples says it all. Another sloppy cover-up of our true past at work. I think they tried to cover up giants and dragons, griffins, and a lot of other creatures. Yet they did such a sloppy job, they just ended up calling them mythical creatures.
Oh, well, there you go. Can't really corroborate that last story that she was talking about, but, there's no reason to believe that she's lying, right? Because dragons are all throughout the Bible, all throughout other books. That first clip, though, when they found the image of St. George slaying the dragon behind their biblical image, was interesting. And again, my question would be, why hide it? What's so magical, and I guess freeing, right? What power would dragons give us? Because we know that they hide history. They've changed it all. They've hidden the giants, all this kind of stuff. But what's the purpose? It's normally to disempower us, right? Well, I would say it's always to disempower us. So, what were dragons? Were they good? Were they bad? Because if they're hiding them, it sounds like they could be good, but then all the stories are about people killing them because they were such a menace. Or if they just changed all the stories and turned them into the bad guy like they have with giants.
So I just heard the story about Tiburcio Vasquez. Apparently in the late 1800s, him along with 30 other people on a train in California encountered a dragon that was hurtling towards them, creating a giant dust bowl, and they couldn't see where it was going, and part of its tail got ripped off by the train. And this was covered in the Los Angeles Times newspaper with testimonies from the engineer, the firemen, and other passengers saying that they saw this thing, a 30-foot long serpent creature. And apparently this sort of stuff used to happen all the time back then, and they called these things American dragons. And this was the same time period that mainstream science created the term dinosaur to explain all of the huge reptilian fossils they were finding underneath the ground in excavations all around America. Also, don't forget that in the 19th century, their encyclopedias had dragons being an actual animal that were slowly going extinct and were now becoming rare, but did exist way back more in medieval times.
So this is the thing. We have all this evidence, right? I guess you could say it's circumstantial, but I think it's more than that, because it's across so many different cultures and societies, different languages, all this stuff, but it's always the same. It's always described the same, right? A flying serpent that can breathe fire. So there's definitely something going on here. And of course, like you said, is this why they've invented dinosaurs? I would say yes. The word dinosaur was invented in 1842, means thunder lizard. And that was invented before they found the first apparent dinosaur bone. Like, they invented the word first, right? Crazy. And why would they do this? What are dinosaurs? Because we have all these different shapes, right? From the big Brontosaurus down to the Ankylosaurus and the Stegosaurus and the T-Rex, all these different weird and wonderful types of reptiles, giant reptiles. So have they just amalgamated? Have they put the giant bones and the dragon bones together and rearrange them to make this new thing called a dinosaur? So in essence, they can then hide the giants and the dragons, right? And they can explain away all the bones that are being found. What do you think?
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidi.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
We recently watched a video about dragons. In Chinese culture, they're viewed as powerful and majestic creatures. How are dragons understood in Islamic? They're using the word mythology, and are they the same type of dragons?
It's the correct understanding of dragons. So that's what we said. It's always been around, but they took out all of these light realities. They made everything to be physical. So these dragons are everywhere. They're not seen anymore. They have gone into non-seen realm, but they are in the skies everywhere. So nothing has changed. Now go back to the dragon slayer, King George, known as Sayyidina Khidr as-salam. And throughout the UK, they have the logo of the dragon slayer, the one whom was coming against the evil dragons. Then go into their movies and in their cultures, there was always a Merlin and a dragon. And the realm, the keeper of the realm. Every king would have a castle with 4 corners. Look at our Lataif of the Qalb. It's a castle. 4 corners and the center kingdom. Right? These, what do they call the pillars that come out? The towers? Yeah. The 4 Khalifas, and the centermost is the realm of where the king sits. And in all their movies, they had the Merlin with the star and the crescent, means a wise man. then the movies make it more bizarre and weird, but the reality was there was always a wise person. That wise person always had an ability to communicate with the dragon, and the dragon was the defender of the kingdom. In all of their mythology, they call it a myth because their hearts have gone into such an ignorance, they no longer see that which is heavenly. They see the demonic ones, the ones who give themselves the satanic powers. They see the demonic ones, and you see it in their videos, TVs, movies. You see all these demonic creatures. That's what they see because they lowered their vibration so much. That's all they can see. How can they see the heavens and the heavenly creatures? These are angels. Sayyidina Malik is an angel that is guardian over hell, and his Zabani are the ones who inflict hell. So these are the guardians of the kingdom. If you don't put things in hell and make sure they stay in hell, they overtake your paradise. So who's going to be the most powerful? The one who keeps the ones in hell. Otherwise you won't have a paradise. So from that, Allah sends upon this earth to guard the inhabitants of paradise. So these were all available, these knowledges are available. Many kingdoms describe about these realities. So yes, the Muhammadan kingdom is most knowledgeable. But again, all of these teachings have been silenced and taken away and become physical.
Well, is that where they went? They just higher frequency than we are, so we can't interact with them anymore. I mean, it's interesting, and of course that would put them, like he was saying, in the role of guardian. And the parasites that have invaded us definitely don't want us having guardians, especially if they're huge, fire-breathing, flying guardians, right? So that's another interesting perspective. What do you think about that one? Are they just a high-frequency, higher realm being that was here to stop us, to stop the evil coming up, to stop us being invaded by a nefarious power? And that was part of the changing of the frequencies, because we know, right, they took out all the bells, all the organs, the choirs, all this frequency stuff was dismantled. And that's clearly, it dropped us into a lower frequency. And that makes us much more easy to manipulate, right, when we're in a lower frequency. So, I mean, that's another perspective. So we've had a few here today. What are they? Why are they mentioned everywhere? Are they titanic? Are they small? Are they good? Are they bad? Let me know your thoughts on dragons in the comments. And there we go, guys. That's another one done and dusted. Hope you enjoyed that little stroll through the dragons of our realm. If you did, please do give me a like, share this video around, hype it up, and make sure you're subscribed, of course, and leave me your comments. And I've been looking at the old algorithm, and what it's saying that if you do share videos and even save them, that it helps to push the videos out. So if you want to do that, please do. And just also, guys, a big thank you to everyone who always leaves a comment, who always like the video, share it around, hype up, all that. I really do appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who supports this channel through donations, through the chats, through Buy Me a Coffee. I think there's some links below, I'm not sure. But thank you to everyone who does support me in that way. It is much appreciated. And with that being said, it's time to say, stay awesome, because you are, and I'll talk to you in the next upload. Bye for now.
No. No. Your paws are wet. Don't you tell me.
You can lay down.
Years ago, and I was interviewed on NBC.
It's not on elevate.
sound annoying when you pull it. Yeah.
Dasher, do you want broccoli?